Hey guys, I thought for this week's vlog episode, I'd share with you some of my favorite travel tips on how to save money. Some are really big things, and some are not so big, but cumulatively, they should save you a pretty good chunk of change. Let's get started. Generally speaking, Tuesday, Wednesdays are your better bet to save some money versus going on the weekends. The other thing is, if you're flying, try to pick up the first flight out of the day. That way, any kind of delays haven't accumulated to delay you getting to your next destination if you have a layover, and that's critical because you don't want to miss that second flight. Now, many of us don't have the option. You only can do it when your kids are out of school, but if you do have options, explore them. Peak season generally is in the summertime between June and August in the Northern Hemisphere, and flip that on its side for the Southern Hemisphere at 6 months. If you go on the bridge or shoulder season, or better yet, off season, you can save huge money, kind of upwards of half of your airfare cost. So what is bridge or shoulder season? In the Northern Hemisphere, we're talking September through November at 6 months off, and that'll give you what the bridge season is in the Southern Hemisphere. And what do you get for that? If you don't travel peak season, you avoid crowds and the higher costs, but it does come with some complications, meaning that some places might not be open as long, so you check the website to make sure that the attraction that you're going for does still open during that off season. You do have to pack a little differently because the weather is kind of in flux. It could be really hot or really cold depending upon the day. It's not traditionally just warm like it is during the peak season. But to me, that's a very small sacrifice in order to get those cheaper fares. First of all, let's not talk first class. This vlog is about saving money, and let's be honest, first class, it's about spoiling yourself for a few hours. A lot of times you're looking it up and you're seeing, oh, there's a great economy fare. And a lot of times airlines will show you the basic economy price. And for that fare class, many airlines will only allow one personal item. That's it. So 1 or 2 days, maybe you can get away with it. Me personally, I can never get away with just a personal item because I haul around all kinds of equipment with me. For basic economy flyers, some airlines will let you bring a rolling bag. And if you go for those low-cost airlines, generally they are also kind of following the rules for basic economy. So just be aware of that. Don't be lured in by those cheap fares because there's some little fine print that you need to look at a little further. Now let's talk train travel. In Europe, very common. In the US, it's also a good option in certain corridors. Know that if you travel by train, you generally will be dropped off right in the middle of the city, where if you fly into a city, you're kind of landing in the outskirts. For short visits, you want to be closer to everything, and that's where train travel really is an advantage. If time is a concern, you need to account for the additional overhead when you travel by plane. The time you need to either get your bags or drop off your bags or go through security kind of is sort of the same as far as time. Cost, train travel is much cheaper if you plan ahead. Airline travel, same thing, but generally speaking, I don't find airfares to be that much different if you plan 2 months out versus a month out. If you're only planning about a week out, take a look at the bus. That's only practical if you're going for shorter distances. Me personally, I have trouble driving for longer distances, so I don't particularly care for it. Also, it only really is practical if you're traveling with a number of people. If there's only 1 or 2 of you, it doesn't make a lot of sense cost-wise because you have to add in things like tolls, gasoline, wear and tear on the car, the stress of driving in traffic, as well as the parking costs at your destination. You have to add all that in, but if you're splitting it across 3 people, then it might make sense for you. Where and when you stay can make a huge difference. Let's take a look at some tips on how to save money in that category. You could do a hotel brand name, like a Marriott or Hilton or a Hyatt, or you can do an apartment. An apartment generally gives you a sense of how the locals actually live because they're in neighborhoods and not right in the middle of a tourist center. But don't worry, many of them are still close to the city center. Apartments or Airbnbs also give you more room generally, and you might be able to get one unit for the price of 2 or 3 hotel rooms. We like doing apartments if we're staying there like 3 days or more, or a B&B or a bed and breakfast, something like that. If you're there for 2 to 3 days, then I recommend trying to stay farther out. Public transportation over driving in, generally speaking, especially in Europe, you might not be able to get into the city unless you have one of those green cars, those environmentally friendly cars. If you stay in a hotel outside of the city, oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes parking costs are reduced or even doesn't exist at all. You can just park in their parking lot. If you park in the city itself, it's incredibly rare, if not impossible, to find a place that won't charge you an arm and a leg to pay for parking at your hotel. Ride shares are an option in big cities, but I personally really prefer public transportation. Our general modus operandi on travel is to save money on food. We try to have just one meal out each day, preferably lunch, because it's cheaper than eating dinner out. And then for dinner, we'll go to the market or grocery store and get ingredients for an antipasti platter. So it's a little bit of everything, and then top it off with a yummy dessert. This works especially if you're in an apartment, something with a refrigerator that's big enough to put all your ingredients in. It gives you a sense of what the local flavors are, but also saves you some money and also maybe a few inches that you don't get from eating out every night. I hope I gave you some ideas on how to save money for your next trip. If you learned something, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. In any event, thank you so much for joining me on Mary Goes Round the World. So normally this is the point in my video that I share with you a travel tip, but since this vlog is just one big series of travel tips, I'm asking you, what is your favorite travel tip to share with the rest of us? I have not covered the bulk of the hacks that I use to save money here and there. I wanted to just cover the big ticket items, the transportation, the lodging. But there are other costs incurred with travel, and I will share that in future episodes. But in the meantime, yes, please share with the rest of us some of your hot tips.